All right. So if this is your first time with us, I want to say welcome to this month's webinar. I'm excited because this one is a little bit different than the previous ones, and the fact that I get to share this virtual platform with another group of women. So I'm excited to do that with you as well. So if you're not familiar with the P&G, I don't know about you guys, but are you ready to get started, ladies? Are you ready to get started? I'm ready to get started. So I'm excited, super excited about this month's session. It is corporate philanthropy and the power of giving. So whether you are in a company serving on a nonprofit board, I think there will be something in today's discussion that will inspire you, but also empower you to be to be more philanthropic about your time as well as your money. Okay, so I want to take an opportunity to introduce my illustrious panel of guests today, and not only is it an opportunity for me to connect with you ladies, but also for you an opportunity for you to share your stories. So as you introduce yourselves, and I wanted to save the introduction so that you can tell your own story. Not only do I want you to tell me your name, but also a little bit about what you're doing. But what does it mean, the power of giving back? What does that mean to you when I say that statement? And so, Anne, why don't you start us off with the introductions?
Sure, thanks, Andrea. My name is Ann Schwister. I retired from P&G 3 years ago after a 29-year career in finance and accounting. My last role was as VP, or now Senior VP, the way they're doing the titles, of North America's Selling and Marketing Organization. I currently am a strategic advisor and serve on 2 for-profit boards, Haskell and Parts ID, and 1 not-for-profit, Greater Cincinnati Foundation. I have a focus on helping businesses grow sustainably and see diversity, equity, inclusion as a big enabler. As I think of the power of giving back, for me, it's using my talents to help others like I've been helped. It makes the community better and helps me learn and grow.
Awesome. Thank you. Next on my screen, Annabelle. Why don't
Hi.
you introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Annabel Tonge, and I'm over here in the UK actually, so it's the afternoon with me at the moment. And I started work for P&G as a graduate 27 years ago, and I was very privileged to work in the UK, Ireland, and Hong Kong with P&G, and enjoyed every minute of it. So across the last 27 years, I've always had an interest in giving back, and I've always gained a lot of energy from it. In a previous life, in a different organisation, I ran a charitable fund for 5 years in a company called Apple Green. I'm currently involved in my current company, Q5 Partners, in their pop-up consulting initiative, which we can talk about a little bit more later on. But outside of work, that's inside of work, outside of work, I'm also a trustee at Leeds University. And in more recent times, I'm absolutely delighted to join the P&G Alumni Foundation as a board member, and I've taken a huge amount of energy from the time that I've had with them over the past couple of years. And the reason for me really is, and I'm sort of building on what you're saying, Anne, but it gives me a lot of positive energy to work with people and to give back and to share some of my experience and my skills. But it's also a great opportunity to learn from people, often from diverse backgrounds. In the P&G Alumni Foundation, we have members from all across the world with lots of different experiences, and that's always an absolute privilege. You always learn something, and you get to connect and keep in touch with great people. So lots and lots of reasons to be involved in philanthropy.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you. And we're getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know if you guys can hear it on your end. So we'll mute when we're not speaking to see if that helps clear it up. Now, Pamela, you go ahead and jump in and give your introduction and address that question that we have on the table, the power of giving back and what it means to you.
Sure. My name is Pam Viscione, and I retired from Procter & Gamble 3 years ago. Most of my career was in supply chain management. Currently, I'm a full-time doctoral student in leadership and change. I part-time work doing consulting, leadership consulting and coaching. The power of giving back. I believe the power of giving back is the power to be your full self and to influence and impact other people, because I really believe, I think it's Luke 12:48 says, to whom much is given, much will be required. And I feel like I've been very blessed, and the opportunity to pay it forward to others, I just think is fundamental to what we are about as human beings in this world today.
Love it. And I love the fact that you guys had all the similar themes when you addressed that question about the power of giving back. So whether it's connecting with people, caring for folks, or a personal responsibility, I think there is a common thread that is in there. And before we kind of jump into a lot of the details behind the questions, and you may have said it when you opened up, but why are you so passionate about giving back? Because you do this without getting paid. You do this because of what? What is at the heart of that passion? Tell your story. Who wants to jump in on this one to start off first? With like where that passion comes from.
I'm happy to jump in,
Yeah,
Andrea.
go ahead, Ann.
You know, it's really giving back was how I was raised. Both my parents were involved in the community. My father owned his own business and believed fundamentally in doing the right thing and treating the employees as the most important asset of the company. And then as I was at P&G, I always believed in lifting as I climbed and did many things, including sponsoring the Hispanic Finance Network. And then in the community, my husband and I are very involved. And actually, one of the things we're proud of is making the Cincinnati Observatory a National Historic Landmark. So for me, it's just part of who I am. And like other people have said, it helps me grow and develop and meet new people.
Yeah, love it, love it. Pam, Annabelle, you both were kind of nodding, kind of agreeing.
I'll,
So tell me
yeah,
about your
I'll
passion.
jump
Yeah,
in. I'll jump in.
yes, thank you.
I would say, I can hear my mother's voice in my head. It's like, you would not be where you are, Pam, had others not given to you. So I have to start with that, whether it was the ability to attend educational institutions that my family couldn't afford, that personal giving and corporate giving financed for scholarships, or whether it's activities where I learned to play tennis, where, 50 years ago, there weren't a lot of opportunities for that, but there were targeted places to help youth in marginalized areas. So I'm just so thankful and just aware of how it's changed my life personally.
Yeah. Okay. Annabelle, I saw that too. The head nod there too. So you can hear your mom in your head as well. Go ahead.
Mom, teachers, yeah, friends, parents, like, yeah, definitely. I mean, we're the sum of everything that comes before us, aren't we? And I completely agree with you, Pam. I would also say as well that I'd agree wholeheartedly with everything that you two ladies have said. I'd also say that whether it's in the workplace or outside the workplace, giving back is beneficial to everybody who's involved in it. So obviously, as the receiver of something, like we've all benefited, everybody sitting here today has benefited, we can tangibly say, I might not have got that job, or I might not have got to this place or met that person if someone hadn't helped me along the way. But also, it's not just the beneficiary, the person who's receiving it, who is rewarded, because it is in giving you receive, right? And actually, when you get philanthropy in an organization, it actually benefits everybody. And I think that is often something that is misunderstood. People think it's about giving, so you're giving something away, but actually, the more you give, the more you get back. And that's why people kind of almost get hooked in philanthropy, because it's incredibly rewarding to see people go on and do very well, or see organizations do very well, or people, do better in their situation because of maybe one small thing that you might have done to help them along the way.
Yeah. And I love the fact that now that we're kind of getting started and getting ready to get into the meat, all of you, it's who I am, it's what I'm doing, it's how I grew up. It is why I think this topic is so important. And Annabelle, I think you kind of got us into the next question about corporate giving. So let's
Right.
shift gears from personally and what you guys are driven to do personally. For everyone that registered, they saw the statistics. I just want to read them out, and then I want you to respond to it and tell us, why do you think companies still lag? So we saw from the research, 73% of consumers, that's 81% of millennials, are more likely to purchase from companies that put purpose before profit. And 90% of employees would be happy to earn less to do more meaningful work. So if that is what the data says, why do you think companies still lag in their efforts in this area?
Right. It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, there's a tradition, isn't there, amongst businesses that the core purpose of an organization is to make money. And then year on year, you have to keep making more money and more money. And that becomes the priority and the focus. And when you're an individual working in an organization, doesn't matter whether you're at the top or if you're anywhere within the organization, how you are perceived and perhaps how you are remunerated over the course of that year or subsequent years is linked to those financial targets. And so that becomes the main driver, as we all know, in organizations. And then there's lots of other things going on. There's legal requirements and there's governance and there's day-to-day pressures. And these are all more immediate and all linked to making money and moving the company forward. So I think we've a learned tradition of not seeing philanthropy as a contributor, but actually potentially something that could be a bit of a distraction, something away from the core purpose, and maybe a bit of a time drain or certainly a financial drain. Whereas actually, as you've just so eloquently described there, it can actually benefit the organization and the financial targets of the organization, right? So I think what we need in some instances is a bit of a mindset change to understand the benefits of philanthropy, which is obviously, the organizations, the individuals that you are looking after and helping, there is an obvious tangible benefit. But there are other benefits. If it's done in an authentic way, and I think this is the key thing from the consumer point of view, if it's done in an authentic way and it's linked to your actual purpose, then it becomes meaningful, very meaningful. And the consumer sees that, it resonates with them, and they buy into that. And there's, we're having COP26 at the moment, and there's a lot of conversations about the environment, etc., as an example. But these things, giving back, philanthropy, social need, social causes are important to us, and if it taps in an authentic way, then it's meaningful. And then there are other benefits to companies as well that I think sometimes people are unaware of because of all the day-to-day challenges and the focuses, the annual focuses. But you're right, people feel better about working for organizations that give back. So employee satisfaction ratings generally are higher, and retention ratings are higher, and productivity is often better. It's kind of common sense that if you enjoy the firm that you're working for, and if you feel good about what it does as well as what you do, then you're going to have a more positive mindset towards it. You're going to put more energy into your work, and you're going to recommend it as a great place to work for others. So there are loads of benefits, often not immediate. Maybe retention, for example, you see further down the track, but it does require a sort of a change in mindset. And I think that's why we don't see it perhaps as developed as we think it should be.
Yeah, change in mindset. The fact that giving away money could actually make you money. How about that? Very awesome.
Oh,
So
sorry.
go ahead, Ann. Add to it.
I really think I tend to take a stakeholder focus, and I believe if you focus on the stakeholders, your employees, your customers, the community, which is what Annabelle's saying, you'll maximize shareholder value long term. So stakeholder versus a shareholder primacy focus.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you said that linking it to the mission of the purpose, like getting companies to understand that if it's linked to your why, that's what people will resonate with. I love that one. That takes me to my next question is, why do you believe it's important now, in particular now, in our current situation, that companies bring more focus to their philanthropic efforts? Because they may be doing it, but if people aren't aware, kind of like that hidden movie star that once TMZ gets a hold of it, it goes viral that they're doing something great, and it's undercover. But why do you think that it's important that they start bringing more focus? And I don't know, Pam, do you want to start us off on that conversation on this one?
Sure, I can. I mean, unless you're under two big rocks, there's like more crises going on concurrently than I can recall.
Yes.
I mean, the need is so in our face. It's kind of no matter what your mission is, no matter what your values are, no matter what your interest, like there's something that is in dire need right now of giving. And so I just think, pick something, start small, verify that the relationship is right, that the values are a good match, and that the folks everybody's responsible, involved, and then continue to grow that, and I think corporations and individuals need to not be thinking so much what you're going to get out of it short term, as a couple people mentioned, because the benefits are huge, but they're not as immediate as some of the other instant gratification things that we've gotten hooked on in our lives. But clearly the values there long term, and for individuals and corporations or organizations.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And how do you think the pandemic has impacted corporate giving in particular?
Sure.
We got all this stuff going on in the world.
Yeah, if you look at the most recent Giving USA report, so these are USA numbers, which is the source for charitable giving data. Total charitable giving grew 5.1% in 2020 to $471 billion. Corporate philanthropy was about 16.8 billion, so 3.5% of that, and was actually down about 6%. And that type of giving is really, corporate giving is highly responsive to corporate pre-tax profits, GDP, and both of those were down. But then if you look at where the giving was going, as you'd expect, you're seeing more giving going to social service organizations, things like the United Way and civil rights types of things.
Yeah.
And at the Greater Cincinnati Foundation, we are seeing an uptick in demand for some of our products that we do for businesses. We have employee engagement funds where employees can choose where they want to give the company's money, and those are really well received. Paycor, Mott's, Gorilla Glue are doing those. There's also the kind of cause-based funds, which Annabel kind of alluded to, and we know many of those from P&G, Tide Loads of Hope, Pampers Great Beginnings. And then there also are funds where founders can donate some of their stock and use that to drive philanthropy. And in Cincinnati, Skyline Chili's actually done that. So we're seeing more and more demand. And I think it comes from what Pam was saying, to get the best employees, which, unless there's a talent shortage right now, you need a more noble cause. People want to feel good about what they're doing.
And who they work for as well. What about you ladies, Pam or Annabel? Have anything about this shift that you've seen, even in the areas that you may volunteer or work as a result of the pandemic?
There's, I would say, obviously I'm in a different country here in the UK, but the impact of COVID-19 on globally, obviously, it's been immense. But what was really interesting was over here, it kind of unlocked a kind of a civic call to arms, something that we perhaps haven't seen really since maybe even the Victorian era, incredibly civic society back then, where literally pretty much everyone I know volunteered for something, which shows you that need to give back and to be part of the effort to make the difference. So whether it was people, volunteering at vaccination centres, or, there was food drives, lots of organisations, individuals had very difficult times. Individually in communities, people were going around vulnerable people, doing their shopping for them. So on lots and lots of different levels. And I think, humanity reached out to humanity and said, what can I do to help? And I think if you step back and think about that, it shows that, in all your employees that you have in your organisation, there is that innate need to be part of a community, to feel a sense of belonging, but also to contribute and make a positive difference. And just as you said, Anne, organisations, there is a skills shortage, if you like, or talent shortage. You've really got to tap into that, I think, if you want the best people to come and work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you were talking through, I can think about, man, yes, we delivered food. Volunteered at one of the local ones during that time because we're sitting in the house with the kids. It was like, why don't we go and help out? So you're right. It was more than just are the organizations I'm working for involved, it was like, I have a responsibility. I'm healthy. I have a car. These people can't leave. I should help. So absolutely. I want to take a moment to just remind our audience, the ones that are attending, you can drop your questions into the chat box for these ladies. You do not have to wait to the Q&A time. If you have a question for them, I can go ahead and weave that in. Okay, that was a slight commercial break. Just wanted to remind people of that one. So I want to talk a little bit about the boards that you are already on. I think, Anne, you've already alluded to some of the board action you have. And I think in all of your introductions, you talked about kind of what the work that you're doing now post P&G in that area. How has serving on boards enabled you to champion even your personal efforts in giving back and your personal actions, your personal passions that you have to kind of encourage people to give more? So can we talk a little bit about your board involvement there? Anyone can start that one. About Pam, you want to start this one?
I'll start off. Yep. So currently I am, I sit on the advisory boards for the Girl Scouts of Western Ohio and the Northern Kentucky University Business School. And one of the ones that I am just so involved in right now is the Girl Scouts. I did not grow up as a Girl Scout, so this was like a new endeavor and learning for me. But really, we've recently shifted some of our branding, but Girls Change the World. I mean, how could I not get excited about Girls Change the World?
Look at us here
and so
now.
there's so many opportunities to really problem solve, to match real issues, real practical issues in the real world with institutions or organizations that have resources to help fix or enable that problem to be minimized. And so to me, that's what I see as my board involvement, no matter what board I've been on, is to bring together people that can help solve the problem or who can help identify and clarify a problem better so that the organization itself can do something different about it. So I think that's where, you say, wait, what can I bring to this? What you can bring is a fresh set of eyes. You can bring your experience and match up people with solutions to people with problems.
Yeah. And Anne, I know you sprinkled a little bit of your board involvement in Cincinnati throughout some of your responses. Anything you want to add here? How serving on boards has enabled you to kind of feed that passion or even inspire others to do so?
Yeah, I think if you look at boards generally, women are underrepresented. Underrepresented groups are less than fair share. And it's really important to get that diversity on boards and use it, so inclusion, to drive the broad stakeholder focus we've been talking about. And on my corporate boards, I'm newer, but I definitely see the different perspective. I see it in asking to have a more diverse slate of candidates, really penetrating the numbers by level and representation. We all know that as you have diversity and can hear it, you get broader views.
Yeah. So, Annabelle, anything you want to add to this one about your board involvement? Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll just talk a little bit about the P&G Alumni Foundation. So I've been with them for a couple of years now, and they're an amazing organization. They're all P&G alums, which is really great. So we've got that kind of shared history, if you like, and also, I guess, values base as well around what we do. This year, I'll just talk a little bit about this year, but this year we're awarding about $125,000 across 6 countries to 6 non-for-profits, and the whole, if you like, focus on that is job skills, business training, entrepreneurships, and in particular, actually building what we were saying there, Pam. We really try to help marginalized women in particular, actually, because often they are unlock the women, and you unlock a lot of wealth and benefit for the family. So marginalized women, but men and families, into financial stability. And we're a global organization, so we've got board members across. I mean, it's tricky sometimes because we're actually working in several different time zones, so kind of tricky sometimes to get together. But it's wonderful, and it's great to come together as a group of alums to do something that we all believe in. and make a positive difference. And I don't know if there's any alums that donate to the foundation that are listening today, but I just thank you and say that your money is going to a good place and making a massive difference to the individuals that are benefiting from it.
Awesome. Thank you. And I want to, we have a question in the chat box I want to throw out there for you ladies. And starts off with a statement: philanthropy has the perception that it has to be done in your free time or on a voluntary basis as an additional rock, since we are familiar with the 5 rocks concept. Boy, doesn't that give me a flashback. But how does one make the shift from philanthropy as a career if this is something you want to do full time? And she says, I believe P&G has equipped us with the skills that can add so much value in a nonprofit organization. So I think it fits with what we're talking about in terms of just board. So any idea of how do you make that shift? I think it goes back to mindset, but I'd love to hear your perspective on it.
If you like, I can talk a little bit about my experience with Q5, the company that I'm working with at the moment, because we actually, as soon as I finish this webinar today, I'm spending 3 hours with a non-for-profit on company time to help that organization with its strategic intent. So anyway, just cut to the chase on this, but Q5, we specialize in organizational health, and we help businesses with strategy and org design, people and culture. So actually resonates with Pam, what you're training and learning with your degree at the moment. So we try and help organizations to basically be better so that they can achieve their targets from an organizational point of view. So when the pandemic hit last year, we wanted, a bit like I was saying about the civic duty thing, we wanted to do something as an organization. So we set up a thing called pop-up consulting, where we could donate 1 to 2 days of our time, not per year, but as often as we wanted, actually, to a non-for-profit or a small, medium enterprise. And we baked that into the organization. We've helped about 75 organizations across the last sort of 14 months, and we've donated over 2,300 hours of our time in the process of doing that. And we've made a tangible difference to thousands of people actually as a consequence of that. So what I would say is you don't have to leave the corporate world in order to exercise or flex that corporate giving muscle. It's just about having the right opportunities within your own organization. And if they're not there, then challenge the organization. Why aren't they there? Why didn't they respond to COVID-19, for example? Or if there's a need in your local community, or you know, something that's very obvious, you know, what is the company doing for that? If it's aligned to their values and their core purpose, I would always say it has to be authentic. But if it's authentic and it's aligned to values and core purpose, there's no reason why, you know, you have to make the leap out of your organization in order to give back.
Awesome. Anne or Pam, do you want to add to this one? How do you make that shift? Anything you want to add to this one? To full time, or your experience of shifting gears from working?
I would just say, you know, don't be afraid to start small. It could be an organization that you belong to other than your place of employment, to start practicing your skills. You might want to start on a smaller stage, but there's so many opportunities, whether it's in community athletics, community organizing, community school board. I mean, there's just so many things. I say pick something and get started. So often we go into inaction because we make it more complicated than it needs to be. Some of us have been trained to do that. And like, just get over that hump, pick something, go after it. Trust me, your contributions will be appreciated. Sometimes we walk around and we feel like, hey, nobody appreciates me. I do this, I do that. No. Hey, I tell you what, you get involved with an organization that has real needs, they will appreciate you.
Absolutely. That is true. And we have another question in the chat box. I want to go on and ask this one, and maybe, Anne, you can take the lead on this one, is how do we get pro bono work as part of employee work plans? And should we?
Yeah, sorry. To me, it goes back to the talent shortage. And you heard it in what Annabelle's saying. To create engaged employees that feel like they're a part of things, you need to include that. And I think you also need to look at the other skills you build by doing that. Maybe it's a chance to lead at a higher level than you are in the organization or something like that. So I think it's really driving from a point of a company looking at its missions and values and thinking about what makes sense. I loved Annabelle's example. What makes sense for our business, what's authentic, and then making a commitment to build it in and feel like it'll add value long term.
And how great is that? Thank you, Anne, for that. And how great is that? Is the fact that you get paid to do something that is helping your community grow. I mean, I just think that that concept and the fact, Annabelle, your company is allowing you to do that, I think it's just fantastic.
It's also good for the company though as well. Just building on what Anne and Pam said. I mean, so what our company, we did that as a genuine desire to be part of the solution. We didn't know, it was like, what do we have? We have our skills and our expertise. Well, let's just do something with what we have. But what we didn't realize actually was the benefits for the company. So what happened was we immediately became very plugged in, tuned in, and relevant to what was going on, because everybody was talking to us about the issues they were facing, which helped us to talk to our clients about some of the macro trends and micro trends and great examples of how people were sort of leaning into that. It created a research and development product engine for us, so that we tested things out, because those things were happening so immediately. Those problems that people were facing was like, can you help us with this? We've no cash flow. We might not be here in a month's time. So instead of something that we might have planned and honed over a period of time, we turned it around in a day. We went to market with them on a pro bono basis, and then went, oh my God, that worked. Crikey, we could actually use this in paid employment. And then the third thing that happened was, because not surprisingly, young people rush towards this, you know, young, enthusiastic people would rush towards this. And we paired up the young, enthusiastic people with the more experienced people who they would never normally get time with, who also wanted to make a positive difference. And they paired up, and the less experienced people learned, you know, in real time from people who had perhaps been doing this for 20, 30 years. And so that additional upskilling of our team members was not something that we expected. And then of course the final thing that happened was we then got an award for it. So that went out on social media. Suddenly we're marketed as, you know, as somebody who we didn't think we were that necessarily, you know, but we were suddenly, you know, like taking the lead on giving back and facing into COVID. So there was tangible external benefits to the company as well. None of that was in the plan at the beginning. But I think corporates, businesses, don't realize that there's this multi-layered benefits that they are just not getting, you know, like as an organization, if they don't unlock it.
Yeah, I love that example, because I experienced that from personal experience during my time at P&G, where I just had a passion for just going into the community and just talking to young people about opportunities in STEM. And that turned into a program that was embraced by the company, but it started out of personal passion to just make a difference in just a handful of lives of the students that I was talking to. So absolutely, it only takes a person to kind of get that started. Yay, we're rocking and rolling. We have another question that just popped into the chat. So this one, and anyone can take this one. Uh-oh, it just went away. Okay. Well, if I find where it went to, then I'll ask that one. But as you ladies were talking, I kept thinking, man, we've talked about all the good things, like what happens when a company does start giving, the impact, the ripple effect that happens. Let's talk about some of the challenges that companies are facing that may be struggling with trying to figure out how to get this right. Any perspective there, or any advice you'd give to a company that's struggling to figure out how do we make the philanthropic efforts part of our DNA, kind of, to say it differently.
Yeah, I'd build on what Pam said earlier, which is start small, you know, just try something out. I think the stepping off point is often the hardest bit. People often think, oh God, what will we do? But actually, once you step off, then you're on your journey, and you know you'll end up somewhere that you didn't begin. But you'll start and you'll build as you go along. And the other thing I would say, I mean, I've said a couple of times about being authentic, but it has to be authentic. People just when it's not, and in order to make sure that it's authentic, ask people within your organization for feedback. You know, ask them what they think. We're thinking about doing this. We're thinking about doing that. Also ask, you know, your clients or your broader network, people that know you as an organization, say, does this sound good to you? Does this something that you think we should be getting involved in? You'd be surprised. All the best ideas come from all different places.
I completely agree. Completely agree with that one. What about the biggest challenge any of you have faced in whether it's championing something that you were personally passionate about or just to get something done? Anybody encounter a challenge?
Well, one I would mention is that sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it's not a good match. Sometimes you made a bad choice. I mean, you can even get that specific. And if you don't try, you'll never make any progress. So again, that's why, I mean, what I've learned is, you know, start small, start where you have personal passion to get you over those small barriers. And then don't punish yourself if it's not a great match the first time or the second time, but continue to try, because you will find that match and it will make a huge difference. But sometimes we can hold ourselves back from doing good things because we feel the potential risk. What if I choose the wrong company? What if something happens? Well, yeah, and what if you do nothing? What about that?
Yes.
What's the consequence of doing nothing?
Yes. Love it. Love it. And I'm getting some dittos in the comments for you ladies as well. They're saying so true. I love that, Pam, in there. So they're agreeing with what you're saying, even down to the ripple effect that Annabelle talked about. So lots of positive comments coming in there. Because the thing of not doing anything is detrimental not only to the company but also to the people, because people will look for a way. If you're passionate about giving out, you'll start looking outward and imagine all that talent that we're all trying to hold on to now is now going to all these other efforts. But that if you provide an opportunity for the company to do that internally, not only do you retain that talent but possibly even grow it and attract others with it. So great with it. All right. Any other comments on that one before I throw another question out there? Okay. And you may have mentioned this in some of the other things that you've said about what your company, I know, Annabelle, you went into yours, is doing to champion your philanthropic efforts. But Pam or Ann, anything you want to add here about what your company is personally doing to champion efforts that are going on right now? Maybe someone could pick up some tips. So whether you're using social media, let's talk about the how you champion these efforts.
Yeah, my primary philanthropic effort right now is Greater Cincinnati Foundation. And we really are dedicated to making Cincinnati more vibrant and more equitable. And we're trying to help people see and understand issues, and by helping them do that, assume they'll drive change. And one of the things I'm really proud of that we did is we created an affordable housing investment pool, where donors are pooling funds to make low risk, low interest loans to produce affordable housing. And to date, we've invested in 8 projects in 7 neighborhoods and built nearly 150 units. So really that was looking differently at how you can approach philanthropy, going to more of an impact investing kind of view versus just a traditional donation.
Love that. Love that. So hopefully people are taking notes. There are lots of ways to kind of get this done. It's not always just giving out a boatload of money or something, but actually creating something that's going to pay for generations out. So great example there. Any other examples you guys can kind of think about that is maybe different or challenging the status quo about how you think about giving back?
Yeah, I would just add, as you said, it's not always about the money, that your time and your talent are incredibly valuable to many organizations. And so it could be a pro bono kind of coaching or consulting session, or it could be just get on a committee. Like, to think that, you know, we don't have to come in labeled as a consultant. We can just join in an organization that we're a part of and get on a committee like everybody else and begin contributing from your normal everyday participation. So again, not making it such a big deal, just getting out and doing it.
Okay. Getting out and doing it. That sounds like a drop the mic kind of thing. Just get out and do it. I'm going to drop the mic now. Please, if you have other questions, drop them into the chat. Anybody else had something to add? Was that you, Annabelle? You had something to add?
I was going to say, yeah, Pam, I completely agree with you. And actually, there's less barriers now because a lot of what happens is virtual. So
Yes.
you don't even have to leave the house anymore. You can just literally dial in for an hour and make a huge contribution. I can see you laughing there, Pam. But it's true, because people go, I don't have time, and it's difficult. It's so easy now, and it's so normalized for us to do this, just as we're talking today. And you see the difference. I mean, the P&G Alumni Foundation that I work with, everybody's a volunteer. Everybody donates their time. It's probably a couple of hours, 2-3 hours a week, maybe. We have a volunteer and ambassador network, which got 136 people involved in that. And they probably, in a lot of those social media, it's literally forwarding on tweets or forwarding on posts on LinkedIn, which can take seconds. But, to that end, we've helped, by doing that, 58 different organizations. We've donated 1.4 million in grants, and we've supported people in 26 different countries. And that's from sitting at your kitchen table, right? So, or even on the bus forwarding on tweets. It just doesn't have to be a huge commitment, because I think sometimes that puts people off because they think, I just don't have the time.
Yeah. A few things I've heard come out. Start small. Doesn't have to be big. It could be an hour of your time. It could even be 30 minutes of your time. So there are lots of ways to kind of get your mind wrapped around it. And it doesn't have to just be money, even though money's great, because a lot of these organizations do need financial backing and funding. So I don't want to take away from that, but it can be your purse, but it also could be your person giving some time there. Today's panel was sponsored by Women's Leadership Forum and the P&G Alumni Foundation. I know, Annabelle, you've spoken on that one, but anything else you want to add about how women can get involved in particular with that effort? And I'll do it a little bit in closing, or tell us how you got involved with it.
Well, maybe I'll tell you why I got involved. So I'm about a bit longer out of P&G than the other people on the panel today, but I'm about 15 years out of P&G. And during that time, I've had a family, 3 kids, quite time consuming, and I wanted to reconnect back to the community. So I actually reached out to our local chapter here in the UK, and then through that ended up talking to Ed Tazia, and he suggested the foundation because of my background into philanthropy. What I loved about it was there's this amazing network, very much alive network of P&G alums who just want to do good in the world and want to be their best selves. Back to your point at the beginning, and people, it often brings out the best in us, doesn't it, when we do something positive. So that's how I got involved. And I'd say for anyone who's interested in joining the P&G Alumni Foundation, as I say, we've got this volunteer network of 136 people, and this, the time commitment is not great, but you do get to be part of the network and see what's going on and be involved and be part of the community in an active way. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or go to our website, which is the P&G alumfoundation.org. But we'd love to have you involved. And then, and if you're interested in board membership of that or other parts of the network, I know there's the Women's Forum, there's lots of different parts to the P&G Alumni Network. There's opportunities for everyone, whatever your interest is.
Absolutely. So as we get ready to kind of wrap up, believe it or not, we're down to the last 10 minutes of our time together. I do encourage, if you have a question, go ahead and drop it in the chat, but I want to get some last responses from you ladies, whether they be advice or a challenge for someone who is teetering on, or maybe they want to shine a spotlight on some of the work they do, but any last advice that you would give, words of wisdom related to this topic.
The other thing I'd say as you listen to Annabelle's answer is remember you're going to learn and grow from this too. So think
Yeah.
about skills you want to develop, things you're maybe not testing in your corporate life, and how can you build them? What are networks you want? What are things you want to do? I've met so many people that have just very different skill sets from me, and that's all helped me grow.
Yes. Thank you for that. Next, word of wisdom, some parting words.
Make a small commitment and do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be big. Go ahead, Annabelle.
Yeah, I totally echo both what Pam and Anna said. Just think about what you want to do and do something small, but do and make it even just one thing, and see if you can just do one thing and see how that makes you feel. And then if you like that feeling of giving back, then do it again or get more involved. But it's easy to do one thing, donate, forward on a tweet, reach out, do one thing.
Absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. Please do drop any of your questions into the chat for these ladies as we get ready to kind of wrap up our official time on the panel. Let's see, we have one that just came in. Question for you ladies. What are you most looking forward to as you kind of continue with the work that you're doing? What are you most looking forward to?
I can probably answer this one really quickly. We're in the P&G Alumni Foundation. We're just putting together our annual impact report, which you'll be able to download off our website. This is the draft here, right? So it's very much real. But we're looking forward to getting that finished and then presenting it at the P&G conference, which is happening next month. So yeah, really looking forward to getting that out and into everybody's hands.
Awesome. And what are you most looking forward to when it relates to the work that you're doing?
Really making a difference in some of our key initiatives to drive equity in Cincinnati: affordable housing, economic mobility, racial justice.
I love that one. The fact that it is so timely in doing so. If you think about everything that has transpired over the last year and a half, is being able to tackle, even making a small difference in that one, will have a rippling effect as well. What about you, Pam? What are you most looking forward to?
Well, right now I'm pretty deep into co-chairing the Girl Scouts Women of Distinction award process, which is a 30-plus year institution here in Cincinnati. And we are shifting from honoring only accomplished women to honoring some of our Girl Scouts in honor of this Girls Change the World. We're also, for the first time, going to honor corporations that are doing activities or making investments consistent with our values. So it's a big change for the organization after 30 years of something being successful, but we really believe Girls Change the World will, carry us through the discomfort of change.
I love that, the discomfort of change. And it's always when you get on the other side of change, you feel like, oh, it wasn't that bad after all. Why didn't I do that? This has been so much fun. I don't know about you ladies. Have you had fun kind of talking about giving and inspiring people to kind of give more? I know I've enjoyed my time here today. But we're almost at the top of the hour. So please join me virtually, wherever you are, in thanking these women here. And then I'm going to shift gears to kind of wrap up today's session. And if there are any other questions, we do have about 5 minutes left. You can drop them in. I'll make sure that I get that in front of them. They're dropping thank yous in, just so you ladies know. They're dropping their thank yous. They've enjoyed their time with you as well. So a little bit about, and I thank you, Annabelle, for kind of putting some of those emails, websites up there of how to get involved. So do go to pgalums.com as a way to kind of find out everything that's going on in the network, including this webinar series and what to look for there. As Annabelle mentioned, you can support the foundation as well. as find ways to get involved at PG Alumni Foundation. And you see the address there on the website, but you can also find the links if you go to pgalums.com. Partner with us at sponsor@pgalums.com, and you can volunteer, start, join a chapter, find a way to get involved by sending an email to hello@pgalums.com. And a little bit about today's session. There will be, it is being recorded, as I mentioned, and it will be on YouTube. So in about a few weeks after, up to a month, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is a PG Alumni Network, and view not only the most recent ones, but also you can go back and kind of look at the previous ones as a way to kind of continue the opportunities for you to learn. Uh-oh. And what's next? If you remember from the opening slide, and I should have put that slide in here again, I want to remind you to make sure you go out and register for the conference that is coming up in next month, and take advantage, and you'll get an email with all this stuff in it. Take advantage of the discount there. But our next webinar series, we will be back in December. At least I'll be back. You guys, you can be back too, but not on the panel. Is with Daniel Eck of EY. He is the managing director there, and he is going to talk about personal finance actions for everyone. So whether you're retired or you are currently still working, is never too late to start saving for the future. And he'll talk about that one at our December 14th one. And so, ladies, I did want to tell you some of those wonderful things that are coming in the chat for you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. It was helpful, phenomenal women, and all of these things. And one other question, because I think I do have a minute left. Are there any philanthropic governing bodies that you recommend joining or being associated with? Anybody have one? Any recommendations before we close out?
I think I've made my recommendations, but I would say follow your passion. So Pam was talking about Girl Scouts, so genuine interest in the Girl Scouts, and that's led Pam to to a really fulfilling role. I think think about your own passions and what you would like to get involved and contribute to.
Greatly said. I think that's wonderfully said. Is let it lead you to your area of it. And so with that, I will say it's been a pleasure, ladies, to share this virtual stage with you. I've enjoyed getting to understand your passions, but also to understand opportunities that I can actually challenge myself to give more and to make this world a better place, because Andrea is in it, of course. So thank you so much for your time today. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And for everyone else, I'm Dr. Andrea Bowens-Jones. I'll see you back here in December for our next webinar. Bye-bye.